watching Battlecast Primetime. Kane's back, and this time Xbox 360 owners have something to cheer about. See what all the hype's about as online producer Keith Schaefer faces the firing squad. What's it like to be immortalized in a CNC game? Natasha Henstridge and Carl Lemley sit down for exclusive interviews on the set of Kane's Wrath. Plus, Kane himself throws down the gauntlet and challenges the website's best against the world's best. Who will reign supreme in the first matchup of Kane's challenge? Battlecast Primetime starts now. You're logged in to Battlecast Primetime. Sitting alongside Raj Joshi, I'm David Silverman.
It must be the last Thursday of the month because we're loaded up with the news you care about. And more importantly, we've got some great battles in store for you.
With so much Command & Conquer goodness to give you this month, including 2 huge matches, let's cut to the chase and give you the latest from the front. The original Command & Conquer, released in 1995, introduced us to the forces of GDI and NOD. In 1996, Red Alert took us by surprise and placed us in an alternate reality. The CNC franchise has been around for 12 years and has spawned 13 games in all. Now, for the first time ever, you can get all 13 games in one package with the release of the Command & Conquer Saga. It's the perfect gift for anyone who loves to blow stuff up over and over again, like us.
Command & Conquer Saga! Woo-hoo! Yeah! Yeah! Woo! Saga! Battlecast Saga! Woo-hoo! Saga!
Kane's Wrath for the Xbox 360 will be a standalone title, meaning you don't need Tiberium Wars to enjoy it. You'll get everything that the PC version has, a new campaign, new maps, new units, sub-factions, and all the multiplayer maps and units that came with the original Command & Conquer 3. If that isn't enough, the best news is managing your build queue and commanding your forces gets even easier with the new radial interface. For more on the 360 upgrades, let's switch it over to David, who's with a special guest.
Thanks, Raj. Real-time strategy is all about control. Controlling your armies, controlling your build queues, controlling the battlefield. That's why the dedicated Kane's Wrath development team has been hard at work on a new radial interface exclusive for the Xbox 360. Kane's Wrath online producer Keith Schaefer in studio to break it down and face the firing squad. Welcome, Keith. I hope you're ready because we've got a rapid-fire series of questions to throw at you.
Let's do it.
All right. First up, radial interface. Break it down for us.
This is a great new feature for 360. We've been prototyping this since the end of Tiberium Wars. We're really excited to be able to bring it to the fans for Kane's Wrath. Basically, anywhere on the map, you pull down the right trigger, the radial interface comes up. Use the left stick or command stick to navigate around it. You can queue up buildings, structures, upgrades, and get right back into the fight without going back to your base.
So what do you think that this radial interface will do to gameplay?
It's going to make things a lot faster on 360. Again, you don't have to spend time moving around the map, selecting the structures for what you want to do. If you want to queue up infantrymen, you can do it right in the middle of the fight, right as you're running over the other guy's base.
All right, now speaking of running over the other guy's base, multiplayer modes. 360 had some exclusive modes that the PC didn't have. Are those going to be the same in Kane's Wrath?
They're all back. King of the Hill, Capture the Flag, Capture and Hold, Siege, we'll have all of them. In addition, we're going to have over 20 new multiplayer maps.
So aside from the multiplayer maps, how else is Kane's Wrath different than CNC3?
Well, we're going to be bringing out 6 new sub-factions. Each of the factions is going to get 2 new sub-factions. In addition, we're going to have brand new units across the board. Some of the sub-factions are going to have unique units to that sub-faction as well.
All right. Now, it's hard enough to balance for 3 factions, yet alone the 9 that you now have with Kane's Wrath. How are you guys doing this?
Well, we're doing it by making each faction have a little bit of a playstyle theme. Some of the factions are going to be powerhouse factions, heavy-hitting units, but they're going to be expensive and probably a little slower. Some of the other factions are going to have lighter units, lighter armor, lighter weapons, unless you get them in the right situation, in which case they're going to pack quite a punch.
All right, now I got to tell you, one of my favorite moments in any Command & Conquer game is when you're all ready in the end, and you drop the ion cannon and wipe out the whole base. That's like one of the greatest moments in Command & Conquer. What do we, any kind of new superpowers or upgrades that we're bringing in Kane's Wrath?
We're bringing out a whole bunch of new upgrades and powers. Some of the upgrades improve some of the existing units. Some of them are for the new units. And in addition, we're rolling out some more direct damage so that you can really take it to the enemy.
All right, well, it sounds like multiplayer is going to have a lot of new features to really keep you on your toes, whether it's the new maps or the new units or powers. Keith Schaefer, you have survived the firing squad. And earlier today, you actually walked us through some of these new maps. Let's now take a look.
First up, Eastern Promises. That's right, it's snowing in Kane's Wrath. This map is set in one of our new locales, Russia. This is a 4-player map. Players start on the edges at a medium green field. There are 4 more green expansion fields in the corners, easily defensible with lots of garrisonable buildings. But most players will be more interested in the 4 small blue fields. These are sunken into the ground slightly toward the center of the map with only one way in for your harvesters. Enemies can put a few rocket troops around the edges and do some serious harassment. But this map's most exciting feature is Midfield, a subway hub that connects to 4 isolated plateaus with 2 tib spikes each. Controlling the subway station could potentially get you 8 tib spikes, and the only other way your opponents could steal them is by using Call for Transport. The next map is Dockside Devastation, another 4-player map also set in a new locale, this time China. You'll start in the corners on a very protected plateau, only accessible from one side. The north and south edges have an additional green tib field to fight over. The west edge holds the dock this map is named for, along with 2 tib spikes. There are 2 more spikes in the far east. Center stage is a large green field in the middle of a small town, and there are 2 EMPs on the outskirts. This is a huge map with lots of garrisonable structures. And finally, we've got Unsound Investment. This map is unique because there are small patches of blue and green Tiberium everywhere. It's for 4 players with starting positions on either side of this ridge that bisects the map. You'll start with a small green field in close proximity to one opponent, protected by the ridge. 2 of the corners have a blue field and 2 green fields each to fight over, protected with several bunkers. The other corners have 2 tib spikes each and a few empty buildings to garrison. There are 2 more tib spikes in the middle. Tiberium is everywhere on this map, so harvesters will be going all over the place to gather the crystals, making it that much harder to protect them. Dave and Raj?
We're going to have some great battles ahead of us when Kane's Wrath is released. But until that time, we've still got the 5 most furious matches available on Command & Conquer TV in the Battlecast 5.
A GDI mirror between Practice and NoFX on Tournament Arena. NoFX rushes his opponent's blue field with rocket troops and takes out a surveyor. But wait! Practice drops the refinery just in time. Bitter, Practice counters with 2 APC engineer rushes, forcing NoFX to sell his refinery in the south and pack up his MCV just in time. Strike 1. A 3rd rush forces NoFX to sell off his airfield, and again he's forced to pack up the old MCV. Strike 2. Still alive, NoFX calls in the cavalry, Bloodhounds in the north and Airborne in the south. His army's divided, Practice leaves his Conyard open to a mammoth rush. NoFX swinging for the fences, home run! And just for kicks, NoFX's Shockwave artillery seals the deal. Raj, I guess this time Practice doesn't make perfect.
4. Optical Scrin versus Save Us GDI on Tournament Dust Bowl. Save Us sends an engineer to grab a foundry. Wait, pause it. A foundry? In the 5? I'm so happy I could cry right now. Save Us sells it for 750 credits rather than using it to build Scrin structures. Wonder if that will come back to haunt him. Optical is almost wiped out with just a portal and warp sphere left, but he sneaks in 3 assimilators and grabs a Conyard. He uses a Conyard to drop a war factory and make an MCV of his own. Optical is back in the game. Optical, unable to build Scrin structures, techs up to mammoths and lays waste to Save Us. Looks like there's no saving Save Us this time.
3.
Sniper and Chu Xiang Chang face off in a Scrin mirror on Tournament Arena. They mirror each other's build orders, expanding to the blue field and building a Seeker army. It's back and forth, but CTC gets a slight edge as Sniper quietly techs up. Sneaky, sneaky. Sniper gets the tripods first, eyeing CTC in his sights. He researches the force field upgrade and uses the wormhole. That's right, kids. 10 more tripods magically appear behind enemy lines to wipe out CTC. Sniper pulls the trigger for the win. Who could have seen that coming?
2.
And it's showtime! Showtime Scrin against IDV Nod on Pipeline Problems. Showtime grabs the expansion point and builds a front line. DV goes all in, sending every single unit from all 3 sides at Showtime's base. Showtime takes the bait and goes on the defensive, not realizing DV's base is wide open. In an all-out siege on Showtime's base, DV futilely tries to shut down Showtime, but Showtime's tripods break through his assault and go wee, wee, wee off all the way back to DV's home, where they show no mercy.
1.
And finally, a nod mirror between FKJ TASF, call him Frank, and Prodigy on Small Town, USA. Prodigy going back to basics. Uses the tried and true Scorpion spam, grabbing the lower expansion with an emissary. Frank takes a less traditional route, speed teching and building 2 more MCVs. Why build 1 when you can have 2? Frank queues up 2 obelisks and 2 war factories, while his 3rd MCV rushes towards Prodigy's expansion. He unpacks the MCV and instantly drops them. Booyakasha! Luckily, Prodigy has another expansion to fall back on. Both players retreat and build up their armies, forcing a stalemate. Frank breaks the silence using rocket soldiers and vertigos to level Prodigy's obelisks, but at a high cost. Frank loses his entire army. Prodigy counters with a Tiberium Vapor Bomb, and his laser scorpions clean up the mess without any resistance. Checkmate, break up the champagne, Prodigy gets the win. And that has to be one of the coolest MCV rushes I've ever seen. Let's see it again.
The 5, brought to you by Rock Band. Start a band, rock the world. Available now on Xbox 360 and PS3 and December 11th on PS2.
I can't believe you didn't win with that. Well, Frank, you get points for creativity.
Stay tuned to find out which 2 of the combatants you just saw will move on to our featured match. Plus, the moment I've been waiting for, the one-on-one interviews with Natasha Henstridge and Carl Lumley. And the biggest battle you've ever seen, the #1 seed on the web takes Kane's challenge against one of the top players in the world. Who will be bested when Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV.
Rated T for teen.
Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. I'm Raj Joshi. Last episode, we got a glimpse at the Kane's Wrath cinematics featuring some big Hollywood talent. This time, we've got something even better for you. The moment we've all been waiting for.
But mostly Raj.
The one-on-one interview with Natasha.
And Carl.
Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. As promised, a special treat. Here we are on set of Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath, and we're joined with Carl Lumley. Carl, how are you doing?
I am doing very, very well. I'm very, very excited to be here. I'm having a great deal of fun playing Brother Marcion.
I'm Natasha Henstridge. I play Alexa Kovacs in the new Command & Conquer 3, Kane's Wrath, and it's fabulous. Check it out.
So this is first time ever acting in a video game, right?
Yes and no. We did a video game for Alias, but it was nothing like this. This is my inaugural and a real video game.
In Hollywood, the powers that be, your agent, your manager, calls up and asks if you've heard, of this video game, if you want to be a part of it.
You mentioned your son is a huge Command & Conquer fan.
He's a huge Command & Conquer fan. He's a huge gamer. In fact, my ignorance about what I was getting into gave him the opportunity to give me about a half-hour lecture about exactly what it was I was getting into and a little bit of the history of the game. And frankly made me very excited to be a part of it, so thank you.
Strategy game. I hadn't really known that much about them, so I started asking around, asking friends and stuff, and heard how fabulously popular it was, and I thought, this would be cool. Kind of a new, something to explore for me in terms of playing a character, and I think it's also really, really exciting because there's just a lot of people loving this game.
Game's called Kane's Wrath. A little scared what's going to happen to you?
Well, I think if you actually are perpetrating something that you know is a betrayal, then yes, death can come about. However, for Brother Marcion, he believes that he has been betrayed, and this is a man of great belief. So, in following what he believes to be true, it is only until he is shown otherwise, and once shown the error of his ways, he falls in line.
So there's a scene where Kane and I have a little tussle, and in live action you get to see that for what it is. You get to see us really go through this kind of moment together, and the hair moves, and you see the actual action of it happening as opposed to kind of a digital composite of something happening. So I think it just allows the player to really feel like they're there.
So what did you think of Natasha after meeting her?
Well, she's hot, Raj, but not as hot as the news by the fans for the fans in APOC's Community Corner.
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm APOC, your official Command & Conquer community manager. I'm here once again to bring you the hottest CNC community news from my base of operations at the ELA headquarters. You know, unlike Kane, I've actually got a real job and a life and real information for you, the fans of Command & Conquer. So let's get this started. Anyone who devotes 100 hours of their time to create a real-life Soviet Tesla coil, they're not just a fan, they're a freaking legend. If you missed Peter Turin's recreation of the Red Alert Soviet Tesla coil, you know, it's probably because the Pentagon has already snatched him, or you just haven't visited his crazy sci-fi website yet at www.tesladownunder.com. I'm ready to buy one to protect my office cube right now. The second round of the CNC League ladder season has just recently passed. Congratulations once again to the top 8 ranked competitors who will go on to the Grand Championship Tournament in January. You held your ground so well, you'd make King Leonidas and his Spartans proud. Disconnectors and cheaters, beware. This is Command & Conquer! It'll be your last stand, not mine. Finish in the top 16 on the 1v1 ladder by December 17th in our final qualification round, and you will qualify for the $10,000 cash prize tournament. We are looking forward to one of the hottest total conversion mods on the horizon for Command & Conquer 3. It's the sequel everybody's been waiting for, Mideast Crisis 2. This upcoming mod features 3 distinct Mideast factions for a war-torn single-player adventure and multiplayer desert combat mayhem. Check out their teaser site at www.isotx.com/MEC2. The bookies in Vegas are pinning this as the Counter-Strike for RTS. Well, that's all from my corner right now, and remember, every day is Community Day. Back to you, Dave and Raj.
Thanks, Aaron. While browsing the forums, you must have noticed the new thread that's been up for a month now because the questions have been rolling in. It's time to get your answers when we Ask a Developer.
Thanks, guys. I'm Amir Rao, a designer on Command & Conquer 3, and I'm here with Ask the Developer to answer your questions you've been posting on our forums. All right, our first question here is from Crunkmaster Matt. He asks, will the Xbox 360 version of Kane's Wrath include all of the balance changes and economy changes in 1.09? The answer is yes. Kane's Wrath on the 360 and PC will have all the 1.09 balance changes and economy changes. The economy changes were huge. They slowed the economy down by maybe 35%, and that's going to have a huge effect when you're trying to tech to and build epic units in Kane's Wrath. Our next question here comes from War Addict. He asks, will the new GDI hover units in Kane's Wrath be able to hover over water? The answer is no, they will not be able to hover over water. The hovercraft was designed as a ground unit, not an air unit that can go over water, and for that reason we needed to balance it against its screen and nod counterparts, so it would have been too overpowered if the hovercraft could go over water. Our next question comes from TaffyWhip91. He asks, will Zone Raiders keep their anti-air capabilities while garrisoned inside a Hammerhead gunship? So that is going to be an amazing combination, and the Zone Raiders will keep their anti-air capabilities while inside a Hammerhead gunship. At least that's the plan for now, and we plan to see lots of these kind of cool unit combinations in Kane's Wrath. Our final question here comes from Robok, who asks, are you planning on making any more merchandise? Maybe something like a remote-controlled Predator tank? So no plans for a remote-controlled Predator tank, but I would personally really like to see a Kane-branded Easy Bake Oven. That's all for now. Keep those great questions coming. I'm Amir Rao. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Amir. It's amazing what you can pack inside a developer's head. In just a few moments, we will show you the match to end all matches. And in order to better understand the strategies, we'll need the aid of our CNC Brain Trust, Greg Black and Jason Bender. Welcome, guys. Must be a little strange to be on the show so early.
Thanks for having us. Today's going to be action-packed, so we wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Let's get this party started.
Before we witness the actual battle, can you tell us a little bit about Dackle and his challenger Chaos?
So we've seen Dackle on the show before, and he's sort of a hometown hero at this point. Now, he went to the World Cyber Games and took the bronze, but everyone thought he was going to win the gold.
As far as Chaos is concerned, this is his first time on CNC TV, but he is #1 on the 1v1 ladder, but of course that happened before the 1.09 patch came out.
And also, the World Cyber Games happened a while back now, so let's see if Dackle's caught up on the 1.09 goodness.
Well, good to know. So who do you think will come out on top?
You know, it worked for me before. I'm hoping it's going to work for me again. I'm going to go with Dackle.
So even though Dackle's sort of our hometown hero, like I said, I'm going to keep things interesting. I'm going to go with Chaos. He's the #1 on the ladders, and those guys are brutal.
2 down, 2 to go. Raj Joshi, man of the hour. Who's it going to be, Dackle or Chaos?
Well, I must say I've looked into my crystal ball, and it tells me that Dackle is going to be swept into a state of chaos.
That's interesting. I've looked into the actual match, and I've seen that Dackle comes out victorious. After all, he was number 3 in the World Cyber Games. Now to issue the official challenge himself is Kane.
Welcome, my children. You have risen to the ranks of the Brotherhood and have arrived here. No small feat. I have watched your progress. From the destruction of the Philadelphia to the defense of the final Skrin Tower. Unlike certain others within the Brotherhood, your faith remains pure, unquestioned. There are many soldiers in this war, but only one can usher in a new day for Nod. Dackle, World Cyber Games medalist and Battlecast Primetime winner, you shall face off against Chaos, highest-ranking competitor on the 1v1 ladder. The winner of this challenge shall sit at my right hand as my most trusted general, but know that many strive to lead my armies. You must never drop your guard. Good luck, my children. Do not stop until the blood of your enemy flows over this land.
Well, you heard him. Kane's watching, so you better bring your A game.
And speaking of the A game, we're going to start off with Dackle playing his GDI in the south of this map. Looks like he's going for some early engineers and a little early infantry to go capture those tib spikes.
Yeah, he knows the value of early cash in this game, and he knows what he's doing. So let's watch as Dackle's economy is probably going to grow. Up north, meanwhile, Chaos, he looks like he's teching up.
Yeah, looks like a bit of a 1.08 strat. We'll see how it works out for him. Dackle's definitely going economy, Chaos definitely going tech.
So here we can see that economy sorted out, already a bunch of refineries. But now what we got is a couple of attack bikes from Chaos. He's not going to let that slide.
Yeah, not bad. He's going in for the harassment, and ooh, the watchtower pops up, and Chaos not micromanaging those guys. They're just sitting there taking it.
Yeah, that's an anti-infantry defense. They shouldn't be able to take out those vehicles. They should be getting the heck out of there, but I guess he's back at his base, not paying attention.
Dackle has some huge economy going here. Multiple refineries, a giant tib field. That's going to make him a ton of cash.
Absolutely, that's glorious. Unfortunately, Cattle has taken out several.
Yeah, it takes out 3. That's got to hurt, but probably won't hurt too much considering how many he already had.
That's a fact. So Dackle probably still ahead on the economy, but Chaos isn't going to let it slide. He's going to send the avatars in there and attack those refineries head on.
Yeah, and I don't see anything. Oh, the sonic emitters pop up. Holy expletive, those avatars just get nailed.
Dude, he's chasing them off. They're on their way home, what's left of them. So, you know, what's Dackle got? His counterattack?
Yeah, just you know, a million mammoth tanks.
Fully upgraded, no less. And a couple of Firehawks while you're at it.
Firehawks going for that tech center. They don't quite take it out, but it looks like Dackle isn't through with it yet. Here comes the Zone Trooper drop pods.
The Zone Troopers are going to finish this job, but they're getting hit by a cloaking field, which means they take some damage. That softens them up for the Venoms.
Yeah, the Venoms are definitely going to finish it off. But look, they did get the tech center, so that could be huge.
Yeah, he does, though. Chaos does have enough avatars to mount an assault with what he has while he's building up his new army and rebuilding his tech lab. So he's going to march those on in.
Yeah, and oh my god, those avatars just got nailed by that shockwave artillery. They're just getting eaten alive by these mammoth tanks. Kane cannot be happy with that.
No, this is a turkey shoot. It's bad times for the avatars. So now Dackle is just rolling in full force, wiping out everything in his path.
Yeah, these battles have not been going well for the avatars.
Not at all. And so he's got some Venoms left, but you know, what's he going to do against that many mammoths?
I don't know. 1.08 called. They want their Venom spam back. It's time to evolve the tactics, Chaos.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure that's a lesson hard learned when this many mammoths rolls in and finishes his base off.
Yeah, not much you can do about that. Good game, everybody. Well played, Dackle.
So now we know what's worth more. Whether is it a bronze medal in the World Cyber Games or 84% win?
Looks like it's the bronze medal, and you know, those 1,500 online games that Dackle has played certainly doesn't hurt.
Good job, guys.
Dackle, you have won this challenge and my respect. For now. But do not become arrogant or you shall be crushed like GDI. With this win, you have created many enemies. Be wary. For at any time I may call upon another #1 ladder player to challenge you. And again, you shall have to prove your faith. Never drop your guard.
You've just witnessed the mecca of all matches. I can't believe Dackle was able to pull it off. Dave, how did you know?
Well, to be honest, I had a 50-50 chance, and I've seen your crystal ball in action. When we return, we've got our featured match on a map released with patch 1.09, Wrecktropolis. Greg and Jason will return to help sort through the wreckage and give us the goods when Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV.
Prepare for ascension. Behold, my child, the sweep of history. Cabal was only the beginning.
Welcome back. I'm David Silverman. In order to best show off the newest additions to CNC3, we've placed our featured match players in one of the new arenas, Wrecktropolis. See how they adapt to this new map and new rules. And let's extend another warm welcome to Greg Black and Jason Bender.
Thanks a lot. Hopefully this match will be just as exciting as the last one.
Before we meet the players, let's learn the ins and outs of the new battlefield with Greg Black's Battleground Reconnaissance.
Wrecktropolis is a 4-player unranked map released with 1.09. Players start in the 4 corners of the map at a small green Tiberium field. The center of the map is a ruined husk of a city covered in Tiberium with few intact garrisonable structures. In the middle of all this is a Tiberium silo. Capturing the silo will give you an instant 5,000 credits and, perhaps more importantly, a nice build radius. Expect to see lots of early contention here. Although there are no extra fields, spikes, or structures on the edge of this map, they do provide a nice flanking option, especially with all the conflict midfield. Today's players will be starting in opposite corners, leaving the other 2 starting fields empty.
We had 10 opponents in this month's 5, but only 2 could move on to the featured match. Tonight, we show you Optical and NoFX's voyage through Wrecktropolis. Let's learn more as we go through the eyes. First up, we've got Jonathan Hendricks, aka NoFX, who hails from the land of chocolate and waffles, Belgium. Jonathan was born in September of 1987 in Beveren, Belgium. He is currently going to law school in Antwerp. While his desired profession is to uphold the law, he believes Kane is brilliant and respects him for defending the weak against the quote-unquote cocky oppression of GDI. He likes Nod for their variety, speed, and great aircraft. However, he prefers GDI. He has a soft spot in his heart for the Orcas. The Orcas rush is, quote, lovely and underused. NoFX says that the biggest mistake anyone can make in CNC is not building a solid economy. And for all those top-of-the-ladder hopefuls, NoFX says attitude is everything. Play to win, or don't play at all.
His opponent, Daryl Perry, better known as Optical, beams in from England. Daryl was born October 15th, 1984 in Gloucestershire, England. He's been a fan of the series since he was 15 years old playing Red Alert. Throughout every Command & Conquer game, he prefers the story of Kane and the Brotherhood of Nod, so consequently, he plays as the Brotherhood online. His favorite strategy is one he calls the Broadsword, teching to obelisks and creeping them all the way to the opponent's base. Optical's advice to the up-and-comer? Watch the pros play and then challenge them online. And the biggest newbie mistake to avoid, not protecting your harvesters. They're the backbone of your whole operation. Always be map aware and scout.
Well, that Optical sure is a bright one.
NoFX ain't too flashy, but he's no slacker either. It's time now for our legendary pregame feature, the pick of the match. Greg, Jason.
So it looks like NoFX has been playing unranked up to now. He's stepping in at a pretty high level on the ladder because Optical's number 200 on the ladder. So I'm going to have to give it to Optical.
You know what? I think if you're going to give it to Optical, I'm going to have to give it to NoFX. He's got a slightly higher 59% win ratio. He's got the hunger. He's got the gumption. He's got the stick-to-itiveness that we like to see here on CNC TV.
All eyes turn now to Raj Joshi. What does your crystal ball tell you this time? Will it be NoFX or optical?
Well, I have seen the future, so I must choose optical.
Which means I must go with NoFX. All right, the gates are closed, the wagers are in. Gentlemen, it's go time. Tonight's matchup is between Optical Nod and NoFX GDI on Rectropolis.
And to start the match, we've got NoFX playing as GDI in the upper right-hand corner. Looks like he's going for an early engineer.
So what's useful about an engineer on this map?
Well, there is that Tib silo right there, and he just captures it for a huge 5,000 credits.
That's an early advantage for NoFX. Meanwhile, Optical in the south is going to go with attack bikes, and that seems to be the trend for today.
And while that trend sets, let's go take a look at our earlier matches. NoFX GDI races to airfields and uses call for transport to secure the silo, but he gets greedy trying to fly another engineer into Optical's base. Rocket bikes down the Ox while Optical stealth tanks wipe out NoFX's small economy. NoFX is broke while Optical's teching to avatars. Optical wins in 8 minutes.
It's NoFX's turn to try 1.09 Nod, but he's caught up in an attack bike micro and leaves his entire base open. Optical Scrin sends just 6 Seekers, a Swarm, and a Lightning Spike, but it's enough to level NoFX's Conyard and force a surrender. Optical's up 2-0 after 4 more minutes.
Back to GDI, NoFX sneaks an expansion to the south and builds just refineries and war factories after grabbing the silo. Optical speed techs while harassing with bikes. It's a few avatars against a lot of predators. NoFX wins in 8 minutes, 2-1.
NoFX GDI uses APC engineers to get the silo and a Scrin refinery. He drops a barracks and forces Optical Scrin to sell a warp sphere before he's pushed out. NoFX gets midfield this time, with a strong economy and a coordinated offense of Predators and APCs. Optical spent too much time on multiple war factories. He uses a stasis field, but it's not enough. NoFX ties it up at 2-2 after 8 minutes of play.
And we're back with those attack bikes just tearing it up in NoFX's base.
So meanwhile, in the back of Optical's base, NoFX has APCs with rocket guys. He's radar scanned the area to find those harvesters, and he's going to go to it.
And look at those harvesters reverse moving, bugging out. It's not too often they have to get the heck out of Dodge, but there they go.
So now they're going to turn their attention to the tech lab.
Ooh, and they're going to do some serious damage to that tech lab, and it looks like they're about to take it out, and up comes the obelisk to do some serious damage.
So the Avatar is going to chase him out of there, get him out of the Tiberium field. Looks like he's not even going to shoot at them. He's just going to go, and he's just going to try to stomp them all out.
Yeah, shake his fist, get off my lawn.
Absolutely, which makes the APCs drop their rocket guys in the Tiberium field.
Yeah, you know, Surgeon General does not recommend hanging out in the Tiberium field, but desperate times.
Desperate times indeed, and the APCs are going to take out that Avatar, which is amazing, meaning that the APCs are still alive in the back of Optical's base.
And we're seeing here one of NoFX's big problems, not enough economy. He's had to expand to this bottom Tiberium field. He's all by himself down there with a single refinery.
Yeah, so it looks like he spent all of his time moving those APCs around and not enough time doing the macro on the economy level. But he does have a couple tricks left up his sleeve. He's going to bring in the Orca Strike.
And what do you think those Orca Strikes are going after, Jason?
It's the target du jour, man. It's the tech lab.
Oh, and they don't quite take it out, but wait, here come the actual Orcas to finish the job.
It's the 1-2 punch, Orcas and Orcas. So they have done it, though, and if he was afraid of avatars, he doesn't have to worry about that now. What he does have to worry about is the fact that Optical has taken over the entire map with 1 million refineries and a whole bunch of units. His macro play, his strategic level play is really kicking butt. So, you know, what do you think about that?
I mean, he's just got a ton of money. He's got tons of base structures. You know, even if NoFX is the best micro player in the world, I just don't think he's going to be able to hold up against this level of macro, against this much economy, against this much production.
He's made smart decisions about where to go, where to put his forces, right there in the middle of the map with all of this money. All the money on this map is right in the middle. And he took that early on while those APCs were tooling around, and it looks like it's going to pay off big for Optical now.
Absolutely, and as you can see here, we've got some more APCs moving in to do that little micro dance against those harvesters, but it's just not enough.
So now he's got money for mine drops, money for base defenses, and 1 million Scorpions, 1 million Venoms, and they're all going to go right straight on into NoFX's base.
And just to make matters for NoFX a little bit worse, around the flank here comes some avatars equipped with flamethrowers.
Yeah, those flamethrowers are just what you need to torch that Conyard and fry it to a crisp.
Golden, brown, and delicious. That Conyard goes down, the entire base is going down, and it looks like that's it for NoFX. His micro, good as it was, just could not hold up against Optical's macro.
Well played, gentlemen.
Looking sharp, Optical. Greg, Jason, break down the stats for us.
Let's start by taking a look at the units graph. You can see here, they're actually not that different right up until about the 12-minute mark where there's the big diversion. I don't really think the units graph is going to tell the whole story.
So let's pop over to structures and see what the real tell is. So look at this. The entire game, Optical's just tearing away, taking over the map, building everywhere, and NoFX is left behind with a weak economy. Good micro, but nothing else to show for it at the end of the day.
And of course, this is going to manifest itself most obviously in the resources graph. I mean, you can see here, he's got about double the resources of NoFX throughout the entire game. You know, again, macro is really what won this battle.
So I have to hand it to NoFX. Really well played on the micro level, but you can't forget about the rest of the world.
And the play of the game goes to...
You know, I got to give it to Optical. NoFX did a lot of really interesting micromanagement, but Optical just finished that game off in a big way with that huge Scorpion and Venom rush.
And you know, that was just a distraction so we can get those avatars around the side. The avatars were equipped with flamethrowers. They knocked out the Conyard in seconds flat.
Well, that's all the time we have. We roll out new episodes of Battlecast Primetime the last Thursday of every month. And next time, we bring you all the details of the scrin in Kane's Wrath. The new sub-factions, the new units, the new powers. It's all in there. For a sneak peek, go to www.commandandconquertv.com/KWScrin now.
While you're waiting for the next episode, make sure you check out Command School for tips and strategies from the devs and now also from your peers. And for more insider information, Aftermath releases every third Thursday of the month.
And finally, don't forget to Battlecast your next match for a shot to be featured here on Battlecast Primetime. For Raj Joshi, I'm David Silverman, and we'll see you on the battlefield. I had to touch that.